In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your GDPR policy, which will allow your GDPR settings to be applied throughout your account. So I'm going to go to My Company, and then the GDPR settings are almost at the bottom. Yeah, there we go, GDPR configuration. So if I come in here, I'll just scroll to the top. You see here we've got 1, 2, 3 settings that allow you to choose how to apply GDPR through your account. This top one affects whether you need explicit consent from any of your customers in order to store their personal details. Now, most training companies don't need explicit consent because it's implied by the fact that you need to train them. But depending on what your company specifically does, you may need explicit consent, in which case you just set it here either by setting yes or no. The second setting here affects whether you record the fact whether it's okay to send this customer's details to other companies outside of your own company. Now, if you do, you must ask the customer's permission in order to do this. So if you intend to send details to other companies, then make sure you set this option to yes. Now, this third setting affects whether the contact's details get removed immediately when they request them to be removed, or if you would rather actually see who's requesting to be removed, then you would set this to no, and then instead of removing their details immediately, it puts them into a list which you can then explicitly check through and then remove them if you still feel it's necessary. Now, depending on which choices you've made in those 3 items there, this will affect which fields get added to your contact details screens. So, for example, if I go up here and say, yes, we need explicit consent, you'll see now we've got a third field that's going to be placed onto our contact details screen, asking the contact, is it okay to hold onto your details? This field here, the keep you updated, is actually always put onto your contact details screen because this is asking permission to send further information to that customer of further courses that they may be interested in. So that is always there. This third field only appears when you've actually set the do you intend to send personal information to other companies to yes, and that will then be placed on the contact screen along with the keep you updated field. With all these 3 fields, you can choose the text that appears to the left and the text that appears underneath. So, for example, if I wanted to change the text for the send details to others, just click on the edit text here. It will bring up the field settings, and then I can change it to what I want. So if I wanted to put here, okay for us to pass on your details to other companies who may also want to contact you for training and quality purposes. So then do OK there, and that should update it. There you go. So these 3 fields will now be applied to all of my contact input screens, my online booking screens, the inquiry screens, and that saves you having to run around them all applying these fields to those screens. So I'm now going to apply these settings to all of my screens. Click on OK there, and actually that is now done. So if I now go and look at any contact, if I pull up their details here, then we should see on the details screen, if I scroll down, here are the general data protection questions, and they've been applied as we described to this input screen and obviously all of the input screens for contacts and online bookings. Actually, it's probably worth mentioning here, this contact was already input and these fields had already been set to yes. The default actually is no. So when you create new contacts, the default's set to no. Obviously, you can then change them to yes after you've asked the customer if they're okay to receive information from you or from other companies.